Hey, it's not Shaves, and welcome to another edition of Anitube Guest Digest, where we cover the best and not so best videos from Anitube in the past week. This time we are covering from the 2nd of August to the 9th of August. Now, before I start, I just want to say I apologize in advance because I'm not really used to this kind of vlog style content. I looked at another video of Shaves just to like research and be like, oh, you know, how does Digest go again? And Shave spends like 20 minutes on the first video that he covers. So I won't be doing that. I don't think I can do that, but I will try my best because this is all for Shapes and we all love Shapes and we want to do Anitube Digest justice. So without further ado, here is the videos I thought were not good. The one video I thought was not good comes from OTAQUEST in Japan. I don't know who runs that channel, but they are scrub. I mean, their latest video is basically just a black screen with narration. I didn't really get it. All joking aside, I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about Canipa having to stop making videos for OTAQUEST in Japan's YouTube channel. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's kind of actually of a smaller channel, but basically Canipa was saying that he was able to make whatever he wanted. So if you take a look on there, they're a bunch of top 5 videos, but they're very clearly Canipa inspired. And just like how they're Canipa inspired, they ooze with Canipa's style. So they're all really researched and really interesting and have all these great little tidbits that go into them, just like a Canipa video, but they're in little bite-sized pieces and they're top 5 videos, so they're a lot easier to digest, you know. Digest, get it? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about how apparently OTAQUEST is just shutting down. I thought they were a huge company and their site looked so slick and they had a lot of backing, so it comes as a really complete shock to me. But yeah, he says the channel's gonna stay up and all the videos will be available to watch, but there will be no more new ones. So to me, that is not good. And now we'll move on to the videos I thought were decent. Now this next video, maybe people wouldn't call it decent. I'm certainly not a very harsh critic when it comes to other people's work. So I guess I'll put decent with an asterisk, like Shape sometimes does, because some people would consider it not good, I don't know. It's a Mother's Basements video. It's called Reject Anime, Return to Manga. There's a couple of problems I have with this video. The concept of the video, I like in and of itself, right? So Jeff is making the point that, hey, you like anime, and sometimes people complain about anime, but there's this huge world of manga that people never really experience, and they should quote unquote return to it as a medium. Now the problem I have with this video is that, and he mentions this in the video, but manga is not anime, right? And like I don't think just because they're both like Japanese and anime are often adaptations of manga, it makes sense to have everyone quote unquote return to manga. Like even that in and of itself, right, is an assumption that people start with manga and then move on to anime or whatever. Now the problem is people like anime because it's animated and has stuff that manga doesn't have, right? So this video, it's framed weirdly is what I'll say, because I think the concept of the video in and of itself is okay. The concept of the video is that, hey, manga is good, you should read it in addition to anime, right? But the way he goes about it, okay, number one, this video is like half an hour long. It's so long. And I just told you the entire point of the video. It's, you should read more manga, right? And it's classic Jeff to make a video and kind of stretch it out. And he does fill it up with some examples, which I really appreciate. But I do think it's a video that could have been a lot shorter, which is one of the main faults I have about it. Now, in addition to those points, there's a couple things he says that I don't think are really particular to manga that he kind of postulates as being a reason why you should read manga. So he says stuff like, you'll miss out on all the great manga if you don't read them. But I think that just applies to literally every medium, right? So like I could say, hey, you should get into K-dramas because you're gonna miss out because there's a lot of great content there. Hey, you should get more into literature because you're gonna miss out. There's so many great books out there. You literally can't win. Like you can't watch or consume every piece of content. So I think he has to make a stronger case for why manga specifically. And to his credit, he does go into a bit of what makes manga and why you should read it. So he talks about the pacing often being better than anime. He talks about the different panel sizes changing and affecting the way that you read and experience them. But I do think that he kind of oversells it. So he's obviously, the video is obviously coming from a place of bias, right? He's trying to get you to do something. He's trying to get you to read manga. The problem is that in doing so, and this is just common for any kind of argument, right? He just leaves out all the stuff that makes anime. So, okay, for example, he talks about in manga, they often change panels and they have to think about layouts and the position of text boxes and all of that. And that's why a lot of the time it seems more polished, right? The thing is, in anime, it's not like they don't have to do that, right? I mean, you can cherry pick instances where the compositing is bad or the storyboarding is bad, but plenty of anime have cinematography and really careful placement of elements and different techniques, a lot of which you can't experience in a manga form. So I think he just kind of brushes that over in an attempt to make his argument, and I don't think it really works. Sydsnap released a video called Having an One-san Sugar Mama. I have to admit, I haven't seen many Sydsnap videos. I've seen some of them covered on Digest before, but I haven't actually sat down and ever watched one myself. Unfortunately, I actually don't watch too much of Anitube myself, which I know shades, I'm sorry. But I get it all through Digest, so it's all fine, right? But it was a good video. It was charming. It was kind of what do you say? Like the first thought that comes to mind is it's a bit of a quote-unquote filler video. But I don't mean it as a bad thing at all. I just mean that it's a kind of video that's kind of easy to make. You just kind of have this simple concept, you don't do much research, you just kind of perform it, right? So her video is basically Bookwalker, who she's partnered with, I assume, sent her this manga and they wanted her to voice it, basically. And she does a great job. I haven't watched much of Sydsnap stuff, so I didn't realize that she had a great voice. She could do great voices. And the way that the editing is, it's kind of in a typical vlog-like manner where she will cut to different things and reactions, and she does this like funny little repeating a gurgle of coffee throughout the video that she even like comments on in a meta way, saying like, oh, I can't keep doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great example of having a foundational base to build off of. So the manga in and of itself is funny. Or, I mean, the thing is, I don't know if the manga itself is funny. The manga itself is like, all right, but it provides good base material for her to build off of and make her own content and add to it. I think she does a really great job. I didn't expect her to be as spicy as she is. She has a good amount of cursing. She's pretty open and casual, which I really like. I don't watch too many comedy-focused anime videos, and I feel like I should change that just because they're good. It's just a good time. It's not just casual, just chilling back, laughing with some friends is the kind of feel. So yeah, I like Sydsnap's video. Scamboli Reviews also made a video called China Might Have Just Stolen Anime of the Year. It's about this new show called Link Click. Now, I haven't heard of Link Click. I think I saw a couple videos on it. Like not actually watched them, but just like saw them around. And it looks super good. I mean, it's, again, like his title name. It's basically just a regular typical review of Link Click. But I think he does a great job of selling it, and it's obvious that he has done this before. He kind of goes through systematically. He does not do the mistake of simply summarizing everything. Like a lot of reviews, all they do is they basically just tell you the synopsis in excruciating detail. I don't need to know that. He does a good job of balancing these little like hooky moments of describing the show along with his own commentary of why he thinks that's great. Now, something I didn't like is that he does do kind of a bait and switch kind of thing, but that's just kind of YouTube nowadays. So he says, China might have just stolen Anime of the Year, but then at the very end he says that it's not that good. Like it's not like a masterpiece. But he does a great job of selling it and calling it a serviceable show from China, which I think is really good. He does a great job of capturing the mood and tension of the show, at least what I've seen. Like I haven't watched the show, so I don't know, but it seems like he does a great job of showcasing it. and he balances a good amount of comedy. It's never too overbearing. It doesn't take away from the video. So again, I think this is just basically what he does best. I haven't watched, this is the first Scamboli Reviews video I've watched, so it seems alright. And at the very end, I mean, just like I said before, I guess, he says this is just a filler video to fill the time anyway, before his next like big video, I guess. So maybe I should check out more in the future, who knows. Now, this is kind of a running joke, or I wouldn't call it a joke, but it's a trend of including the past Anitube digest in the current digest. So I will be doing that. MathWiz released the past Anitube digest for the last week, and despite everything she says, I think she did a great job. I don't have any I thought you were really funny and the comments were insightful. I have the same problem as you of maybe feeling that I don't have that much to say about any particular video, but I really liked some of your comments. So this is weird Inception level. You were talking about the previous Anitube digest, and you made some great comments about how Shabu Jack comes across almost like a wrestling promoter, which the second you said that, you didn't have to explain it. I was like, yes, that is exactly what he sounds like, and I thought it was really funny and insightful. I really liked the moment where you messed up beyond Gimli's name. So I don't think you have anything to be embarrassed about. I think you did a great job. It's the first time I've seen one of these in a while, but Gigguk released his seasonal video, Summer 2021 Anime in a Nutshell. Again, I think Gigguk has done so many of these that it's kind of been easy to churn them out. They kind of follow a familiar pattern, and I think he does a good job. There's nothing really wrong I can point to. Some might call the jokes maybe a little tired and a little, like, what he ends the video on how he like praises Jahi for having Nagatoro MILF, and then he repeats it over and over again, and then he's like, oh no, but she's a lolly, and then the video ends. Like, I can see how people would be kind of tired of that, but I think the type of these type of videos, they're not meant for the average anime fan, right? Like, they kind of are, because it's kind of like an in-joke where if you see it, you kind of understand. You're like, oh, haha. But it's a lot for a lot of newer fans that I imagine is a lot of Gigguk's fan base. Like, someone who isn't maybe that into seasonals, who wants to just see what is worth checking out. And Gigguk actually does, again, balance a good amount of comedy with insightful commentary about exactly what to watch and what looks good, and what maybe you shouldn't put too much stock in. And now here are the videos that I thought were the best of the week. Evanito released a video, kind of a, not really, but it's kind of a companion piece to Manime Matt's video that MathWiz covered last week, and it's about what it's like to attend an anime convention during a pandemic. And right off the bat, that title is really great, because I have been wondering, what are cons looking like right now in this massively crazy time. And it's been a while since I've seen one of Evan's videos, and it's great. I really love it. And what I really like about this video is that it covers so many different tones and topics and worries, right? So the video, it starts off with this kind of goofy dancing segment, but within the video it covers thoughts about meeting fans, thoughts about safety, thoughts about what going to a smaller convention is like as opposed to a bigger one. He's really able to pack a lot of content into this video, and it's really great to watch. Again, I kind of feel like I should watch more vlog style content, just because it does really feel like you're being shown into this world, right? I'm a person that doesn't really go to cons. I last went to like Anime Matsuri like a couple years ago. So it's been a while, and I really was nice seeing it from the viewpoint of someone, right? I love the little anecdotes he shows, that when he meets up with this one guy who is wearing a trash can outfit, and he's got little waifus on, and one of them happens to be Hestia. He shows little snippets from the hotel room of Anime Matt barging in and interrupting the video. But again, like I said before, he also covers some pretty serious topics of like what it's like to be around a bunch, like a crowd of people during a pandemic, and how that makes him feel. And he tells everyone to get vaccinated, which is great. And he also has a couple brief comments about him being a creator and where he's, how far he's come. So I really like that. he talks about meeting his fans and how it's great that that could happen, and how happy he is. So yeah, I just think it's a really well put together video. He's very relatable. The one thing that I will mention, and I don't know if this is true for most of his videos or not, but Evan, you kind of come off as a little frantic. Whenever you speak, it's kind of like for some reason the first thing that comes to mind is Deku from My Hero Academia, but it's not really the same. Deku, he kind of goes like a murmur, and when he's like really focusing on something. Evan is kind of like a fire hose. Like he just talks and talks and talks and talks, and it's kind of a bit much to take in sometimes. But that's the only thing. I mean, I kind of like that energy, but it can be a little exhausting, I guess. That's the only like quote unquote bad thing I had to say. Core came out with a video where he ranks every summer 2021 anime opening. Now, I love these kind of videos from Core, especially because Core is one of the people in Anitube that is able to approach things from a musical perspective. He knows composition, he's made tracks, so he's always able to give some really interesting insights. But in addition to that, his own style is just very nice in general. He has a bit of a kind of slightly goofy comedy shtick when it comes to the videos. I like the jokes, they're good, but sometimes the delivery can be a little stiff. But in a way, that's almost the charm of it, right? Like you kind of know that they're jokes that he kind of like had to sit down and write and then deliver. I think I really like the opening of this video. The opening to the video about openings. He briefly goes over his own experience of openings, the fact that he doesn't always watch them, and what they can do to set the tone of a show. And in a way, that sets the tone for the video. Now, I like that when he's ranking these openings, he doesn't just purely focus on the opening. There's a lot of context in here. And what I also like about this video is that it's not a video, judging from the title, you would expect it to be a video where Core literally just sat down, watched an OP, wrote some notes, wrote up a script, and then said it, and then went on and on and on, right? But it's actually very clear that he did research on a lot of these OPs. Like he talks about how one of them is actually from it's like someone from HoloLive that was able to go ahead and sing this, or there was actually one of these OPs is sung by a cover artist who did covers on YouTube, and then now she's making a song that's going to be covered in and of itself. I think those are interesting insights that, again, obviously have research put into them. And to piggyback off of what I mentioned before, again, this is someone with actual musical knowledge, and it's gonna sound weird, but I love the nitpickiness, right? So it's the kind of thing where he's talking about, oh my god, the piano syncopation is missing from the chorus when it was building up to this interpretation all the entire time. I live for nitpicky stuff like that when it comes from an actual expert in the field, where he's talking about, oh, the beat emphasis is off here, or oh, these chords might sound a little prettier if they were like this. As for nitpicks I have myself, there's not very many. So one is that I think every OP is a bit much. I know that's the whole point of the video. It's like, oh, watch every OP. But, the video just kind of goes on and on and on. It's a little bit exhausting to sit through. And I do like how you address that somewhat by having OPs that you don't really have much to say. You just kind of do like a one-line joke or a really big quip, and then you move on. But I will say I was a little like zoning out towards the end, which I don't know how you alleviate that. Maybe you can alleviate that, but that's just something I noticed. And lastly, you call that one OP with the triangles like they were walking through an MC Escher painting. That is not an MC Escher painting. The MC Escher paintings are impossible scenarios, like the stairways and the impossible triangles. Those are just regular triangles, okay? Not MC Escher triangles, they're just triangles. Pythagoras would be disappointed. Somehow, Canipa ends up in Not Good and in Best, because Canipa released a video called The Recipe for Modern Anime. Now, I really like this video. I think it belongs in Best. And a lot of it is because it's a little smattering of everything that Canipa does best. So he's got some great history defining like where anime came from and how it evolved over time. He is focusing on two specific creators that he really likes, but he acknowledges that there's a bunch of great work being done by other people as well. He is educating people about exactly what compositing means and what kind of digital effects are and how they're used today. Basically, it's a lot of, it's a lot of the little stuff that we don't really think about, but is part of why things look good and things look the way they do. I think people can kind of, well, I was gonna say shit on, but yeah, I guess I'll go with that. People can kind of shit on overuse of digital effects. So Canipa in the video brings up Go hands and all that kind of stuff, like Wiz and stuff. But I think people don't really recognize how it is used. And this is what Canipa is trying to say with this video and why he mentions modern anime. Because, people say, oh my God, I don't want any CG, any digital effects, or anything like that at all. But then Canipa says in this video and shows you that that would be a very dull looking show, right? Like the digital effects are used in a variety of different ways, from creating really cool first person effects to just making things look the way they should, like they're not off. Like he shows that one scene of it like somehow looks like anime characters are in front of a green screen despite everything being in an anime, so it doesn't make any sense. But he talks about how the reason why it looks like that, why it looks off, is because the lighting wasn't done right. And then he shows examples of when it was done right. So again, I think this is just everything that Canipa does best. It's talking about industry, it's educating about different techniques and the way to use them, and it's also just really well researched, like you would expect a Canipa video to be. So he goes into interviews with creators about what they're doing. He shows really great visuals about how multi-plane animation works and how nowadays, instead of just like 3 planes, it's like 17 or some crazy number, and how all the digital effects layer on top of that. I think a lot of video essays, mine, they kind of don't need to be video essays a lot of the time, right? So they work well as regular essays, but it's just that visual essays or video essays, they get a lot more attention because they're more easily accessible. But Canipa's videos, I think they really need to be experienced in video form. And I think that's a really big difference within the Anitube space. And another thing with the Canipa video is that I think just you always come away from it having learned something, right? So I always had the inkling, but I didn't know that the reason why those like chase sequences in Attack on Titan look so good is because they actually like modeled a 3D environment and then used it to map where the character's going and stuff like that. So again, I think Canipa is a really important voice to have in this space, and I'm really glad he's making videos. I'm really happy this video exists. That's why it's best. Now for best of the week, who could it be other than our very own Caribou-kun with You Should Buy Anime. Now, this video, it does a little bit of a bait and switch, because when you first look at it, and Shapes acknowledges this in the video, you think it's going to be about piracy, right? And he's very quick to say that that is not what this video is about. He says this is not the moral argument, this is not about, making sure that animators get paid or whatsoever, right? And for the most part, he does a really good job of avoiding that topic. He also frames this in a really interesting way, I believe. He kind of starts off with this story about wasp nests, and it's really funny because, he's at a sort of like summer retreat right now, so it kind of makes sense. But then he talks about how, there's this topic has so many different quote-unquote wasps buzzing about it that he has to deal with these kind of topics first and get them out of the way. And I think it's a kind of interesting way to frame it, and something that he goes back to again and again. The editing for this video is also very sick. It's very in Shapes' style. It's very retro. The words are this kind of blend of red and blue, and everything kind of just seems like an old-timey VHS tape. The main thrust of the video is focused on this little raccoon version of Shapes at a computer on a loop. And at first I was a little afraid that the video would be mostly just that on a loop and have not much editing and just be Shapes talking, but he does a great job of bringing in elements and showing them up and then having them be in that same style throughout the video, which is really great and really interesting, actually. To move on to the actual content of the video, I think it's a really interesting argument. So he basically says you should buy anime on Blu-ray for these reasons, and he goes into the different reasons. And I think the reasons and the way he goes into them is very methodical, it's very systematic, and it's very great to watch. I didn't really feel bored throughout the video at all, and the way that he approaches them is pretty interesting. So, for example, he goes through this whole argument of subs versus dubs, which is kind of an age-old argument in the anime community, right? But he sort of flips it on its head and he sidesteps it. So he says, you know, why do people feel the need to get put on these different teams, right? So why do you have to be, hey, I'm a sub watcher and you're a dub watcher, therefore we can't get along? He basically makes the argument for subs and dubs. And he says it's because of accessibility. So we should all be happy when anime is more widely available to a greater number of viewers. And then from here, he goes into how that relates to Blu-rays and how Blu-rays can often use that power to generate their own dubs in different languages and have that kind of snowball and build up power to be able to license different shows. I hope I'm getting the argument right here. It's been a little bit, but I think it's an interesting take and an interesting way to look at it. And the entire video is like this. So he kind of goes through. Now the ultimate goal of the video is basically, now he says in the video that he's not making the preservation argument, but I do feel that the latter half of the video makes exactly the preservation argument, right? So he says that the more Blu-rays you buy, the more money and the more attention and the more demand that these big licensing companies get, and that is able to allow them to go out and get more shows that otherwise would be lost to time. So if that's not the preservation argument, I don't know what is, right? And I don't know how I feel about this argument. I kind of think that it's an argument that's kind of unique to Shabes, but I don't mean unique to Shabes as in he's the only one that thinks that, but me coming from someone who is more familiar with modern anime fans, if I was one of them watching this video, I don't know if I would be entirely convinced that I should buy modern anime on Blu-ray, right? So if I'm someone who's like, hey, I really like Jujutsu Kaisen, right? And I don't watch much anime, but I watched like Jujutsu Kaisen, I watched Naruto when I was a kid. You know, I don't think you're gonna I don't think showing them this video is going to convince that person to go out and buy the Blu-ray so that Dr. Slump can finally be encoded and licensed, right? Which makes me wonder what the audience for this type of video is, right? So I like this video. A lot of the people in my circles like this video. So I feel it's kind of targeted to them, but I think those kind of people are more likely to buy Blu-rays in the first place and more likely to be into these kind of older shows. I mean, I think what it ends up being, this video, is you should buy Blu-rays, yes, but it's also a video about why old anime is worth watching and preserving, kind of, right? So it's not exactly as explicit as Core's video about why you should watch old anime, because it doesn't talk about how good they can be or whatever, but it does talk a lot about how there's a lot of shows out there that are lost to time, aren't in the best quality, that could have that quality improved. And don't get me wrong, I love this video. I think it's really great. I think it is really insightful how he goes into so much detail with the behind the scenes. So basically, I think Shabes is able to leverage his experience in the industry and where he's currently working to put out a video like this, right? You can kind of feel the passion that he has for the subject exuding through the video. And not only can you feel his passion, but he is able to bring a voice and give a voice, sometimes literally, to a lot of the people in this space. So he interviews fan subbers in this video. He talks with people who are trying to scan old film, and he talks about the process of which you scan old film and why kind of old videos look like that. Where he talks about there's literal film strips, and sometimes there's scratches on it, and sometimes there's dirt. Sorry about that. some really inconsiderate people outside. But he talks about how there's scratches and dirt on the film strip sometimes, but you can use kind of AI software to look at the individual pixels surrounding it and try to fill it in. So all that is really interesting stuff, and I really like watching it. But I don't know if someone that this video is targeted at, that could really benefit from seeing this, would be interested in that. And that's where I kind of fall off on this. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think it's the best video of the week, just because I really like, again, Shabes' passion. I like all the information. This is so densely packed with information. It's a collaboration piece I really like how he's able to highlight different creators with different expertises. So he's got Baron J, who is an audio engineer. Again, he's got all the different people in the industry. He's got people from his own company. And I think he's able to bring his perspective of working at Discotheque into this video and make it really a delight to watch. I think his ultimate point that companies are in a better position and better placed to do this work rather than fan creators is a really poignant one. And he might have convinced me to buy Blu-rays in the future. I mean, I've bought a couple. There's Howl's Moving Castle right here. But yeah, great video. I'm sorry, I don't think I really did it justice. I don't think I did any of these videos really justice, but you know, I'm really happy to be able to fill in for Shapes this week. So thank you for having me. Covering for Anitube Digest next week, or Anitube Guest Digest, is Admiral Schmug. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope this one wasn't that big of a train wreck. Bye.